At the club mixer, I was taking drinks for Raina, fighting through the pain in my stomach. She, however, ordered a special soothing porridge just for a freshman in her department. Suddenly, our 5-year relationship felt utterly meaningless. I went back to our apartment and broke up with her. She was stunned. Over a bowl of porridge? Yeah. Over a bowl of porridge. She laughed as she left. Fine. Let's see how many days you'll throw a fit this time. She had no idea that this time, I wasn't throwing a fit. I was leaving for the UK next month. It was the spring semester of my sophomore year when Raina and I went to the club mixer, which was really a farewell party for the club president. The president was a senior and needed to focus on her final project, so she was planning to hand over the leadership position to Raina. Sure enough, when we arrived and sat down, there were 2 shot glasses already filled with hard liquor waiting for us. I picked up Raina's glass first, stood up, and downed it in one go, facing the president. Sorry we're late, Stephanie. This one's on me. Raina's allergic to alcohol, so I'll take this for her. This mixer was important for Raina. If the handover went smoothly, she would take over the science club's project, an assistive device for people with disabilities. The project was already in its later stages. With a bit more testing and a few code adjustments, it would be ready to be patented, which would be worth a small fortune. The alcohol burned its way down, and a dull ache started in my stomach. Wow, Raina, your boyfriend is way too good to you, someone said. He treats you like a princess. Yeah, you two have been together for a while, right? Are we going to hear wedding bells soon? Whether it was the alcohol or the memory of a promise Raina had made me, my face flushed red. This year Raina stood up, grabbed my arm, and pushed the other full shot glass into my hand. Stephanie, you're the star tonight. We can't steal your spotlight. As for us, it's a secret for now. You'll all find out eventually. Leo, how about we toast our president together? I stared at the full glass of liquor she'd shoved into my hand, paused for a second, then closed my eyes and tipped my head back, pouring it all down my throat. A fire scorched my chest, and the aching in my stomach grew heavier. All right, the man can drink. Stephanie started clapping, and I quietly clutched my stomach as I sat back down. Thankfully, after those 2 shots, they didn't push me to drink anymore. I can actually hold my liquor pretty well. Raina's allergic, so I've always been the one to take drinks for her. Over time, I naturally got better at it. But today, my chronic gastritis was flaring up, and those 2 shots were more than I could handle. I hesitated several times, wanting to leave early to take my medicine and lie down, but I didn't want to embarrass Raina. Just as I was about to ask the waiter for a glass of hot water, Raina suddenly shot up from her seat and rushed out, looking panicked. She'd forgotten her phone. I figured she was going out to pay the bill, so I grabbed her phone to take it to her. The moment I touched it, the screen lit up. She didn't have a lock screen. A chat window she hadn't closed popped into view. The contact name was Silly Freshman Ryan. I'd heard Raina mention this guy from her department a few times, and we'd even met once. He was a freshman who had just joined the club and was sitting at a corner table on the far side of the room. I couldn't believe they were texting each other from across 2 tables. Raina, my stomach hurts so bad. The food tonight is way too spicy. I can't take it anymore. Crying emoji. How did you turn into such a crybaby again? Leave it to your senior. I'll fix it. You're the best. Raina, love you. Love you. Okay, stop being a smartass. I'm going to order you a special soothing porridge. Okay, I'll be good and wait for you. Raina had sent me that same cat emoji a few days ago. At the time, I'd wondered why the usually cool Raina, whose replies were typically K, oh sure or MHM, was suddenly so playful. So, this was where it came from, her cute freshman. I casually scrolled up. Besides the sickeningly sweet messages, there wasn't anything that crossed the line. But suddenly, the whole relationship just felt completely pointless. When Raina came back carrying a bowl of hot porridge, I grabbed my bag, said, I'm heading out, and walked straight out of the room. Hey, Raina, what's wrong with your guy? Aren't you gonna go check on him? Raina, I hope he's not mad. Oh my gosh, you should go talk to him. I don't want you two to fight because of me. It's fine. He throws fits like this all the time. Stephanie's party is more important tonight. I'll deal with it after we're done here. You little guy, if you're not feeling well, go sit over there and drink your porridge. It'll help your stomach. A cacophony of voices followed me, but I didn't stop. Her social circle had nothing to do with me anymore. When I got back to our apartment, instead of lying down like I'd planned, I started packing my things. At the party, the pain had been so bad I was breaking out in a cold sweat, but now I couldn't feel it at all. The wound had moved to my chest, a tearing sensation that left me breathless. From the closet to the storage bins to the bathroom, it took me less than an hour to gather everything that was mine. The dramatic movie scene of tearfully returning a truckload of sweet mementos after a breakup wasn't going to happen. For Raina and me, breaking up was now as simple as saying the words. Ever since I followed Raina to this tech university and we started renting an apartment together, we'd spent the last 2 years getting closer on the surface, but in reality, we didn't even have a single decent photo together. I piled my clothes and toiletries in a corner of the closet, then pulled out my phone and ordered a 24-inch suitcase online. My phone was quiet, not a single red notification dot. Raina hadn't chased after me, and she hadn't sent a single message. I traced a circle over her profile picture with my finger, then finally decided to check her social feed. 10 minutes ago, Raina had pinned a new post. Thank you for trusting me. Stephanie, the future of our science club is bright. The post included a photo of Raina hugging a few of the senior girls and several large group shots. In the last photo, her little freshman had managed to cozy up next to her, smiling sweetly and flashing a peace sign. Good. At least I wasn't there, which would save her the trouble of erasing me from the picture later. Just as I was about to delete Raina's contact, I heard the sound of a key in the lock, and the door was thrown open. Leo, what the hell is wrong with you today? Why are you freaking out? Let's break up. Raina sighed, her brow furrowed. She stepped forward, trying to wrap her arms around my shoulders and pull me into a hug. Leo, what's wrong? Are you angry? Did you see my phone? Then you should know there's really nothing between him and me. He's a freshman, new to campus, and we're from the same hometown, so I was just looking out for him a little. His stomach was bothering him today, so I ordered him some porridge. That's all. Leo, can you please not be so dramatic? If you don't like me talking to him, I'll make it clear to him. Okay? I let out a bitter laugh, looked up into Raina's beautiful but unfamiliar almond-shaped eyes, and shoved her arms away. Raina, I said, let's break up. Fine. You'd better not come crying back to me. Raina stood up straight, and the hem of her trench coat knocked over the starry night light on the bedside table. The glass dome shattered on the floor. I'm not feeling well. I'm going to bed. I paid for 6 months of rent here. You can leave. Leave the key. Thanks. Fine. Let's see how long you stay mad this time. The door slammed shut. Raina left without a second thought, assuming that in a few days, I'd come crawling back to her, begging her to return. But this time, she'd be waiting forever. I soaked my feet, changed the sheets, and sank into the soft bed. My phone buzzed with a notification. Your Highness, you haven't taken your stomach medicine today. Remember to avoid raw, cold, and spicy foods. Don't drink alcohol or stay up late. And drink plenty of hot water. I laughed at myself and gave the app a 5-star review. See? A girlfriend of over 5 years couldn't even compare to a virtual app. After starting college, I only lived in the dorms for a little over a month. Raina whined that she couldn't see me every day and missed me terribly, so I moved out to rent an apartment with her. Back in high school, I was in the top 10 of my grade in liberal arts. To get into the same tech university as Raina, I switched from humanities to science. I spent my nights battling chemical formulas and mechanics, forcing myself to become a well-rounded academic machine. My college entrance exam scores were good enough for Harvard, but I gave it up without a second thought to follow Raina here. Raina poured all her energy into her club's research project, vowing to secure a major patent before she graduated. To make rent every month, I used my knack for languages to tutor students one-on-one whenever I had free time. Sometimes I'd get back late from a tutoring session, and Raina would massage my shoulders and back and draw me a basin of hot water to soak my feet. She would hold me tight, her chin resting on my shoulder, and whisper over and over about our beautiful future. Leo, as soon as I get the patent, we'll get engaged. We'll buy a big house, put it in your name, and I'll pay the mortgage. I waited and waited, but that day never came. In over 5 years together, it wasn't the first time we'd almost broken up. In her social circle, I was known for being moody. That reputation came about like the story of the boy who cried wolf. Everyone in our department knew we'd been together since high school and went to the same university. We were the model couple. The first time we fought badly enough to break up, her friends were genuinely worried, apologizing on her behalf and begging me not to be impulsive. That battle ended with Raina spending 3 days and nights winning me back. The second time, fewer people believed it. Only a handful offered polite condolences, waiting for us to get back together on our own in a few days. By the third time, the underclassmen would just casually say, "Hey Raina, is your guy throwing a fit again?" The upperclassmen would advise, "He's a guy. Just humor him a little and he'll be fine." And so, she would go through the motions of winning me back. She bought me a new game console, but she forgot I'd stopped playing that game long ago. She took me out for a huge seafood feast and peeled shrimp for me, but she forgot I was allergic to seafood. She wanted to get us matching couples t-shirts, but she spelled my name wrong, printing Leon instead of Leo. More than once, I asked myself, "Leo, was it worth wasting your entire youth enabling an amnesiac?" Now, whatever the answer was, it didn't matter anymore. I called my academic advisor and told her I was ready to accept the offer to be an exchange student at Imperial College London. 2 days later, the suitcase I ordered arrived. I packed the things I had already set aside. It wasn't much, but it was just enough to fill a 24-inch suitcase, the shredded remains of my youth. After a quick tidy-up, I headed out to meet my advisor to go over the necessary documents and details for the exchange program and to thank her in person. She knew my family wasn't well off, and even though she was less than 10 years older than me, she had always looked out for me like family. Without her full support, I might not have secured this exchange student spot. After we finished reviewing the documents, I couldn't help but give her a hug. Just then, Raina walked in, laughing and chatting with her little freshman. She passed right behind me, and a shiver ran down my spine. What terrible luck. Raina and I were in the same department, but we had different majors, and our advisors shared an office. I ignored them, said goodbye to my advisor, and left. As I reached the turn in the staircase, my wrist was yanked backward. I turned around and met Raina's furious gaze. "Leo, you're breaking up with me because you're sleeping with your advisor? When did you two get so close? Have you been hooking up behind my back?" A wave of rage shot through me. I yanked my hand back and slapped her across the face. "Ah, Leo, what are you doing?" Her precious freshman, who had been waiting obediently behind her, rushed forward, cradling Raina's face in his hands and anxiously checking her over. "Raina, are you okay? Does it hurt?" Ryan's cloying voice grated on my nerves. I had slapped her hard. Raina's head was turned to the side, and a trickle of blood appeared at the corner of her mouth. "Raina, I'm not like you. My mind isn't constantly in the gutter, so watch your mouth." "Leo, Looking at Raina's busted lip, the old me would have been heartbroken. But now I didn't feel a shred of guilt. I just wanted her out of my sight. "And you," I said, turning to Ryan, "who gave you permission to call me by my first name? Do I know you?" I wasn't even angry when I said it. I even smiled as I took Raina's hand and placed it in his. "But I should thank you, little freshman. You're so environmentally conscious, picking up someone else's trash." Ryan looked down, his eyes instantly turning red. He bit his lip, his eyes welling up with tears that refused to fall. "Leo, this has nothing to do with Ryan. He doesn't know my advisor. I just brought him here to register for something. Don't give a kid a hard time." I glanced at Raina and thought how ridiculous she looked, protecting Ryan. I was insulting her, but all she did was accuse me of picking on another guy, completely absolving herself. I really didn't want to admit that I'd spent the last 5 years blindly in love with such a worthless person. I pushed them away, mouthed the word asshole at Raina, and walked quickly out of the building without looking back. Back in my room, I was in a great mood and ordered myself a full sugar milk tea, something I never used to drink. Raina always told me that drinking sugary things would make me fat, and I wouldn't look good on camera if she won an award and invited me on stage. But that was her stage. What did it matter how I looked? I carefully went through the documents in the folder again, and after confirming everything was in order, I scanned them all and uploaded them to a cloud drive. My flight to the UK was on the 5th of next month, which meant I had about 10 days left in the country. My advisor had already approved a week off for me, so I decided to use the opportunity to go back to my hometown. I chose to take the slow train back, to really soak in the scenery along the way and to say a proper goodbye to the person I had been for the past few years. In the gently rocking train car, I went through every corner of every app on my phone, deleting everything related to Raina. But I had another secret reason for this trip. Back home, buried under an old locust tree, were the love letters I had written to Raina in high school, letters she never knew about. After getting off the train, I headed straight for the exit, hailed an electric rickshaw, and a few bumpy minutes later, I was in my small town. A few old men chatting at the crossroads recognized me instantly. They asked why I had come back alone without Raina. I laughed it off, saying the university had staggered breaks, and it was my turn. I missed my grandpa, so I came back to stay for a few days. In a small town like this, information traveled fast. There were almost no secrets between neighbors. They all just assumed that Raina and I would eventually get married. It wasn't that I didn't want to tell everyone we'd broken up, but explosive news like that would spread from one person to 10, then 100, and eventually reach my grandpa's ears. If he found out, he would start worrying about me again. As for the lie, it would fall apart on its own when I returned after my 2 years as an exchange student. Relying on fragmented memories, I wandered around for a while before finally finding the old locust tree. I hadn't had much strength back then, so I didn't bury the box very deep. I quickly dug it up. The small, square tin box was now covered in rust, its once beautiful printed design long since peeled and faded. I pried open the lid. Inside, the thick stack of letter paper looked as fresh as if I had written it just last night. I took out the letters, ready to burn them, when a hand suddenly shot out and grabbed my wrist. The tin box clattered to the ground, scattering the letters everywhere. "Leo, you tell me, what is this?" I turned my head. Raina stood there, her eyes bloodshot, her gaze dark and fixed on me. She looked like a ghost, haunting me relentlessly. I had just gotten back, and she had already followed me. I should have known better than to take the train. It wasted too much time. Raina pulled a sheet of paper from her coat and slapped it against my arm. I glanced at it and understood immediately. The school's announcement board had been updated with a notice congratulating the new exchange students. It's written right there, isn't it? Can't you read? Raina's lips were pressed into a thin line. She looked down, her hand gripping my wrist so tightly her eyes turned red. "Leo, are you leaving me? We promised. Once I got the patent, we would get engaged. Raina, we are completely over. Please stop harassing me." I pried her fingers off one by one, looked her straight in the eye, and spoke each word with finality. I won't break up with you. Leo, just give me one more chance. I'll change anything you want. It's been 5 years. We've been together for 5 years. Can't 5 years of love outweigh this one time you got angry? You can't just leave me like this. What am I supposed to do? I looked at her tear-filled eyes, and for a brief moment, a flicker of pity crossed my mind. But I knew this small pang of pain was just a ritual of saying goodbye to the past. What do you mean, what are you supposed to do? Raina, you're an adult and so am I. I am not your accessory. You won't die without me. I was your boyfriend, yes, and it was natural for me to take care of you. But the foundation of being your boyfriend is this. I am a person, an individual with my own thoughts. I am a man second and your boyfriend third. Over the past 5 years, we both had plenty of chances to reflect and regret. People who aren't right for each other are doomed if they try to force it. Now, I don't want to be someone's someone anymore. I want to be myself again. Raina didn't answer. She dropped to the ground, frantically gathering a couple of the letters. Tears dripped down, soaking the paper. Leo, look. You said it yourself, you were going to marry me in your best suit, with a custom-made bow tie, and the wedding would be decorated in blue. I can do all of that. I can. Don't go. Please don't leave me. Okay? There's no need. That was the unrealistic dream of an 18-year-old Leo. The me of today wants nothing. I knelt down, picked up the scattered letters, and without hesitation, flicked a lighter and set them on fire. More than 5 years of a shared life, as fragile as a cicada's wing, were instantly devoured by the flames. No! Raina threw herself forward like a madwoman, letting her white shirt sink into the mud, trying to smother the fire with her body. A gust of wind swirled past, and the burnt fragments of paper flew into the air, continuing to burn as they danced away. Like moths drawn to a flame, they all eventually fell to the earth as ash. I gently wiped away a single tear that the smoke had drawn from the corner of my eye. The scene, it was truly beautiful. I went back to my grandpa's house and Raina shamelessly tagged along. I didn't want to argue with her anymore, so I just let her. The moment I stepped through the door, the rich aroma of chicken soup hit me, so fragrant it made my mouth water. That old man. As soon as he got my call yesterday, one of the chickens in the yard met its fate. "Grandpa, I'm home." I buried my head in my grandpa's small, thin embrace and couldn't resist picking him up and spinning him around. Come, drink some ginseng chicken soup first, build you up. You're getting as skinny as a beanpole. Oh look, Raina came back with you. Go on, get Raina a bowl and chopsticks. I couldn't help but roll my eyes. She has her own hands and feet. Can't she get them herself? Hey, what's with you today? Kid, it's okay, Grandpa. I'll get it. Raina got a bowl and chopsticks and didn't dare sit next to me, choosing a spot at the corner of the table. What's going on with you two? Did you have a fight? Grandpa asked as he placed a large drumstick in both my bowl and Raina's, just like he always did. Raina, I remember when you were little, you were always so protective of our Leo. Now that you're all grown up, you can't be the one bullying him, you hear? I'm an old man, and he's the only precious thing I have to entrust to you. My breath caught in my throat, and my mind flashed back to when I was 12. That was when Raina's family had just moved to our neighborhood. Her mother was a developer in charge of the local scenic area and was planning to develop an ancient town there. The project kept getting delayed, so they bought a house and settled in. Raina was the second child in her family, with an older sister. She was never as good as her sister in academics or athletics, so she was mostly left to her own devices. One day, I was by the river, scrubbing at a jacket that a classmate had deliberately smeared with paint. No matter how hard I scrubbed, I couldn't get it clean. I had been squatting for too long and got a cramp in my leg. When I tried to stand up to stretch, my foot slipped, and I fell into the river. The river wasn't actually that deep. If I could have straightened up and doggy paddled a bit, the water wouldn't have gone over my head. But my leg was completely useless. The cold water made the cramp even worse, and all I could do was sink helplessly. It was Raina who saved me. She waded into the mud and dragged me to the shore. I coughed a few times and woke up, soaked to the bone. My white shirt, heavy with water, clung to my body, revealing the old-fashioned student undershirt I wore beneath. Our eyes met, and we both blushed and turned away. That day, I went home wearing Raina's clothes. She had given me not only her jacket but also her long-sleeved shirt from underneath. I heard later that she went home wearing only a thin undershirt, her lower body covered in mud. When her mother saw her, she thought Raina had been in a fight and gave her a solid beating with a clothes hanger. After that day, neither of us said a word, but an ambiguous tension grew between us until high school, when we naturally became a couple. We promised to go to the same university, get married after graduation, and stay together forever. Once, she really did protect me well. When a large dog was chasing me, and I was about to climb a tree in panic, she grabbed a wooden stick from the ground and stood in front of me. My parents had died in an accident when I was very young, and my grandpa raised me by himself. I was always smaller and thinner than other kids my age. Raina would bring me snacks from her house every day, and over time, she actually managed to fatten me up a bit. Later, the real estate market declined, and her mother faced a financial crisis, forcing her to sell off some assets to cover the losses. Raina proactively gave up her chance to inherit the remaining family resources, choosing to go to college with me and become self-reliant. But was that really the truth? Sometimes, a sugar coating hides a rotten, dried-out fruit that's already full of holes. The day Raina saved me, I had already seen her on the opposite bank of the river while I was washing my clothes. She had started to walk away, but I guess she realized the water wasn't deep and decided to come back and rescue me. At that age of first love, my hormones romanticized the whole event, and I couldn't stop myself from falling head over heels for my savior, just like in a fairy tale. That big yellow dog that chased me? I saw it several times later, jumping into Raina's older sister's SUV. As for the family resources she claimed to have given up, it didn't matter whether she abandoned them or not. Her mother's chosen heir had always been her older sister. And yet, because of her self-reliance, I gave up on liberal arts and chose to study science with her. I was overwhelmed myself, but I still helped her patch up her academic weaknesses, allowing her to become a dark horse on the college entrance exams. Her charity, her protection, her so-called deep love, it was all conditional, built on the premise that it would never harm her own interests. From beginning to end, the only person she ever truly loved was herself. A shrill ringtone pulled me from my thoughts. Raina looked at me, her face a mask of awkwardness. Answer it. It's your phone. Why are you looking at me? Grandpa, I'm full. Let's go to the other room. I brought you something good. Seeing me lead Grandpa toward the bedroom, Raina finally let out a sigh of relief and answered the call. But she forgot that to preserve the ancient town's character, the houses here were never torn down and rebuilt. They were all self-built homes with terrible soundproofing. Sobi. Raina, where did you go? When are you coming back? I had to go home for something. What's wrong? Sobi. A bug suddenly appeared while I was running the data tests, and a whole section of raw data is gone. The other guys are all blaming me, but I really didn't mean to do it. What should I do? Cry, cry, cry. That's all you do. Does crying solve anything? You're in your 20s. Can't you stop being so childish? Raina, okay, stop it. I'm really busy here. I'll be back in a couple of days. Just leave it for now, I'll handle it when I get back. I'm hanging up if there's nothing else. I couldn't help but let out a snort of laughter. When I was with her, everyone thought I was the one who was too moody. Now, her little freshman cries a few times, and suddenly he's the childish one in her book. And she, Raina, always managed to make herself invisible in any conflict. The fact that our relationship had crumbled was ultimately impossible to hide. I gently hugged my grandpa, cutting off his confused look, and pressed a brown paper package into his hand. It was the money I had saved over the past 2 years. Grandpa, I'm grown up now. I can protect myself. I don't need to depend on anyone. You have to believe in your grandson. I took some time to explain my plan to be an exchange student in the UK for 2 years. I also made him promise not to be cheap with himself, to eat well, sleep well, and get regular checkups. I decided to head straight back to the university instead of staying the night. When Raina saw me heading for the door, she immediately chased after me. Leo, give me one more chance. Please just add me back as a contact. Okay? I promise, from now on, if you tell me to go east, I'll never go west. As soon as I get back and secure the patent, I'll beg my mom to let me study in the UK for 2 years too. We'll never have to be apart again, and when we come back, we'll get married. I completely ignored her pathetic performance. On the way, plenty of familiar faces saw us, one trailing the other, and started whispering. As I reached the main road, the red electric rickshaw I had booked was already waiting for me. I hopped in, smiled, and waved the plane ticket I had already bought at Raina. Miss Raina, go get your patent or study abroad or whatever. It all has nothing to do with me. I won't be joining you for your future. Driver, let's go. To the airport. I flew back to the university, which was much faster than the slow train I took on the way there. The first thing I did was find my landlord and explain that I would be moving out next month. I asked if I could get back half of my security deposit and the rent I'd paid for the extra months. The old man agreed immediately, saying he'd have no problem returning the entire deposit. He said if I hadn't been living there for the past year, he, a lonely old man, would have probably gone crazy from boredom. Then, he asked the question I was expecting. Leo, what about that young lady you were with? I haven't seen her around lately. Sir, we broke up. He sighed, hesitated for a moment, and then patted my back. It's for the best. This old man may be old, but I've long thought she wasn't good enough for you. Sir? You? Why do you say that? The landlord simply took my hand and sat me down on the stairs. I'm old, and I don't sleep well. I'm usually awake by 4 or 5 in the morning. I often see you from my second-floor window, just sitting alone on the steps. It hit me then. Those must have been the times Raina and I had fought, or when I was wrestling with my own thoughts, unable to let go, and suffering from insomnia all night. She was never with you. It was always just you, sitting on the steps, staring into space or quietly wiping away tears. At 4 or 5 in the morning, she was probably sound asleep. Leo, you promise me this. No matter how much she begs, don't you dare go soft on her again. This old man hasn't accomplished much in his life, but I've lived a long time and seen a lot. Listen to me, a young man has to learn to love himself more. By the time I came back to my senses, 2 deep tear tracks were already on my face. All the pain I had endured alone for the past 2 years, someone had known about it all along. I hugged the old man tightly. Thank you, sir. Thank you for understanding me. From now on, I will live only for myself. I called a moving service, carelessly packed Raina's things into bags, and had the driver take them all to her place. Raina actually had a small villa here that her family had bought for her long ago. Otherwise, how could she have remained so calm all these days after I kicked her out, without even taking a change of clothes? She thought she was playing the role of the down on her luck second daughter who had a falling out with her mother, but she never knew that I was just playing along with her performance the whole time. No matter how much her mother had lost in recent years, their family's wealth was unshakable. And Raina, even if she couldn't compare to her older sister, was still the family's precious daughter. How could her mother bear to cut ties with her completely? She was addicted to my unconditional devotion. So even though her daily allowance could cover our monthly rent, she pretended to squeeze into this tiny apartment with me, enjoying the sight of me bustling around for her. It was time for the curtain to fall on this absurd play. Let the rich girl and the poor boy go back to their own separate lives. A week later, I landed in the UK. The university even sent a tall, handsome upperclassman to pick me up at the airport. I was so starstruck I could barely walk. I was back to living in a dorm. My roommates had a kind of worshipful filter for people of Chinese descent and were constantly pestering me to tell them about the mysteries of Eastern history. I quickly made a ton of friends and built a full social life. I was no longer living in someone else's shadow. 2 months passed like this, and I had long since pushed all the old drama to the back of my mind. During a class break, a trending topic from my old university's online forum popped up on my phone. I had kept the forum bookmarked for checking competition registrations and other public announcements. I never expected to see Raina go viral on it, even from here. It started when a rival university's club, which had always been in competition with ours, applied for a patent for an assistive device for disabled people at the exact same time as Raina. What made it even more dramatic was that both patents were rejected. It was discovered that the submitted data models were identical, right down to the same flaws. One of the parties was clearly guilty of plagiarism. The review board didn't care who copied whom. They simply blacklisted both teams, permanently banning them from applying for any future patents. Raina finally realized that the data Ryan had been crying about on the phone wasn't lost due to a bug. It was all an act he put on while he stole it. She confronted Ryan, who, to her surprise, openly admitted it. He was the cousin of a senior member of the rival university's club. He had gotten close to Raina only to infiltrate her club and steal their data. They had a massive fight. Ryan called Raina a useless hack, saying her data model wasn't even complete and she was a disgrace for even submitting it. He thought he could get a leg up, but now they had both crashed and burned. Raina lost her temper and physically attacked him. The university administration had to step in to mediate. A big scandal wouldn't be good for the school's reputation, so they pushed for a reconciliation. In the end, Raina took a 1-year leave of absence. The post was made by a student reporter who loved gossip. I figured it would be deleted once it got too much attention. I scrolled through the comments and saw people were even sidetracked, discussing my relationship with her. There was a popular reply in one of the threads, posted under his real name by Ryan himself. Yeah, I know what I did was shady, but she's a classic case of a selfish, cheating woman who's always looking for the next best thing. The fact that she fell for such a low-level trick just proves she never deserved her ex-boyfriend. I replied to him directly and without hesitation. Yeah, thanks for that. I'm being serious this time. The truth is, Raina could have succeeded. I had been involved in the initial design of the project and had found a flaw in it back then. To surprise Raina, I secretly ran multiple tests, fixed the bug, and saved the corrected data in our private cloud folder. I was hoping she would find it one day and pull me into a fierce hug, but she hadn't accessed that folder in over 6 months. Even now, she probably hadn't thought to look. After we broke up, of course, I shut the folder down for good. If she had bothered to check it even once in the last 6 months, she wouldn't have ended up in this mess. At the very bottom of the comments section, someone was spamming the thread with random posts, including several candid photos of Raina and me together. My classmates sitting around me saw I was just staring at my phone, unresponsive, and crowded around to see what I was looking at. Whoa, who's that girl? Is that your girlfriend from back in China? Then someone tapped my shoulder from behind. Hey Leo, is the girl in that picture the same one who's standing outside? My classmate pointed out the window. I looked up and saw Raina standing in the hallway, holding a huge bouquet of roses. Raina was dressed very formally. She had lost a lot of weight, and there were dark circles under her eyes. It seemed the patent failure had hit her hard. She walked towards me with a look of deep emotion, the roses in her hands nearly engulfing her entire upper body. The spectacle was so big that people from the next classroom came out to watch. Leo, I've made up with my family. I took a leave of absence, and my mom agreed to let me come here to study for a year. She hesitated for a moment, then suddenly dropped to one knee and held out a red velvet box. Leo, I know how much of a bastard I was. I'm not even human, but I was just confused for a moment. Please, can you give me one chance to make it up to you? I looked at her coldly, covered my nose, and swatted the bouquet she was holding up so desperately out of her hands. Raina, if your brain isn't working right, go see a psychiatrist. We've broken up. I could report you for harassment right now. Oh, and you know what? Maybe I'll just report you for assault. I'm allergic to pollen. Did you really have the nerve to bring a bouquet this huge, hoping I'd drop dead on the spot? She looked stunned and scrambled to her feet, trying to grab me.
Leo, I'm sorry.
I didn't know you were. No need to apologize. What happens to me is none of your business. Ms. Liu, please stop harassing me. You're making me sick. The crowd of onlookers, who had been expecting a touching, long-distance reunion, realized the drama was taking a turn. They quickly surrounded me, asking if I was okay. I linked arms with my handsome roommate and said in a soft voice, "It's okay. She's just a stalker from back home." I can't believe she followed me here. Even across the globe, the word stalker had the same effect. They were not happy. The female students, all of them with legs a mile long, formed a human wall. Raina couldn't get through and could only walk away, defeated. After that day, Raina still didn't give up. She didn't dare get close to me, but she lingered like a ghost I couldn't shake, always watching me from a distance. She secretly took pictures of me, developed them, and wrote long, meaningless love letters on the back. I tore them all up without a second glance. She sent people to deliver piles and piles of gifts to me. She even went to the derivative threads of that old forum post to ask what I liked, only to find that I had no social circle at my old university. My entire life had revolved around her. I bought a huge shelving unit and put it up downstairs in my dorm, piling all her gifts on it with a note in English. Help yourself. Everything is free. After a while, one of the senior girls couldn't stand it anymore. She approached me and offered to pretend to be my girlfriend to help. I refused. A spoiled rich girl like Raina, who had never known hardship, wouldn't last long. She'd give up and go home soon enough. I joined a club here, too. I chose the Outdoor Extreme Challenge Club, something I would never have considered in the past 2 years. Recently, the club organized an outdoor rock climbing competition. I had never tried it before, thought it sounded exciting, and signed up. The location was a scenic spot, so there were already plenty of tourists milling around. Raina, a little bolder now, blended in with the tourists and stood behind me to watch. Started off smoothly, but when I was just a short distance from the top, I suddenly got nervous, and my palms became slick with sweat. My foot slipped. I missed the next hold and fell. My body was plummeting, but the scene before my eyes seemed to slow to a halt. I saw Raina hesitate. In the end, she didn't push through the crowd. She stayed where she was. If she had taken just one step forward, she could have broken my fall. But she hesitated. Sure, we were both wearing safety ropes. Even if I fell, I wouldn't die. There was no real danger. But in that moment, the last tiny spark of hope I held for her, deep in my heart, finally went out. I resigned myself to the jolt of the rope pulling me taut. But then, a girl rushed forward and tried to catch me. The impact was too great. I was cushioned slightly, but I still sent her crashing hard to the ground. I landed beside her and heard her let out a muffled groan. Her arm seemed to be bent at an unnatural angle. I scrambled up, called over some classmates I knew, and we helped get her to the hospital. My face was cold as I walked past Raina in the opposite direction, not even giving her a glance. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. The hand she had raised to stop me fell limply to her side. Raina never bothered me again. The girl who had tried to save me turned out to be in my class. We hadn't really interacted before. I had only just learned her name was Violet. Out of guilt and gratitude, I went to the hospital to visit her every day after class. The beautiful young woman was direct with me. She told me she'd had a massive crush on me since the first day I came to class and had been nursing it in secret. She asked if I wanted to try dating her. I still refused. Violet, I'm really glad to have met you and to be your friend. I'm visiting you every day to thank you for helping me. But I can't start a relationship with you because of that. I've only just gotten to know you, and it wouldn't be fair to you or to me to rush into things. Violet blinked her dark green eyes, her long lashes fluttering like a curious child. What if I don't mind? Still no? I peeled an apple for her, smiled, and stuck a piece in her mouth, silencing her 1,000,001 questions. That's right. Still no. A week later, Violet was discharged from the hospital. My classmates were still shaken by my accident. They felt that my relatively frail frame was better suited to teaching them about Eastern culture than to engaging in such strenuous activities. My professor actually agreed. There was a seminar on East-West cultural differences coming up, and after getting my consent, she signed me up. On the day of the speech, I stood under the spotlight with my hair cut short and neat, wearing a crisp white shirt, feeling confident. Raina, who had been gone for 2 months, sat silently in a dark corner of the auditorium like a mouse in the shadows. I glanced over, but I couldn't make out her features. I realized I had already forgotten what she looked like. Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be on stage to share some of my thoughts. My name is Leo, and I'm from China. You all know the story of Snow White, right? But have you ever wondered, why did the prince instantly fall in love with the princess after she kissed him awake? And did the princess have the prince's consent for that kiss? In my country, we have a famous story too, about the cowherd and the weaver girl. In that story, the weaver girl used magic to trap the cowherd in the heavens, forcing him to stay. Through daily contact, he eventually became her husband and fathered her children. After the cowherd returned to the mortal world, their one meeting a year was celebrated as a beautiful romance. But was the cowherd really in love with the weaver girl back then? Whether it's in the East or the West, beneath the surface of these beautiful fairy tales, you often find the impulsive decisions or reluctant obligations of boys. But this is a new era, an era where we have complete control over our own destinies. Guys, if you ever find yourself addicted to sweet poison, don't panic. What you need to do is see the truth, face it, and get out in time. If someone isn't right for you, you need to walk away. If there's something you don't want to do, you need to say no out loud. The road ahead is one we must walk for ourselves. The hall erupted in applause. I looked toward the auditorium exit. Raina's gray silhouette faded away, and the arched doorway returned to its warm, yellow glow. In a direction without her, the sun was warm and the future was bright.